Bernie Sanders released his first political ad. I want to take a look at it and then we'll break it down.
The son of a Polish immigrant who grew up in a Brooklyn tenement, he went to public schools, then college, where the work of his life began, fighting injustice and inequality, speaking truth to power. He moved to Vermont, won election and praise as one of America's best mayors. In Congress, he stood up for working families and for principle, opposing the Iraq War, supporting veterans. Now he's taking on Wall Street and a corrupt political system, funded by over 1 million contributions, tackling climate change to create clean energy jobs, fighting for living wages, equal pay, and tuition-free public colleges.
People are sick and tired of establishment politics, and they want real change.
Bernie Sanders, husband, father, grandfather, an honest leader, building a movement with you to give us a future to believe in.
I'm Bernie Sanders, and I approve this message.
Yeah, that was a good ad. It was a good ad because he didn't get into the gutter like a lot of people do. He didn't, immediately go after the Republicans. He didn't immediately go after Hillary Clinton. His first ad is basically all substance. He starts out, he gives the basic facts about himself, which is something that if people don't know about him, they need to know about him. So he lays, the framework for the rest of the issues. He says he's the son of a Polish immigrant, yada, yada, goes on and on about the personal stuff for a little bit. But then he pivots almost immediately to the issues, because that's what Bernie Sanders does. That's who he is. I've said this before. I've seen interviews where he's asked questions that have nothing to do with substance, and he immediately pivots to substance. Politicians usually do the opposite. They'll be asked a question on substance, and they pivot to the non-substance. Bernie is, not your typical politician in that sense. But other than that, this ad was Bernie 101. I mean, so he got in there opposing the Iraq War, incredibly important. That says a lot about his character. That says a lot about the fact that he's willing to stick his neck out there when other people weren't doing that. He's willing to disagree with the overwhelming majority when he thinks it's right. And that's something that, in my opinion, it's pretty much unforgivable if you voted for it. If you were in the political process at the time and you were in favor of it, I can't really look past that. He said, we've supported vets. That's indeed true. He has done that. He's proposed legislation for the VA, which of course would build more hospitals and take care of the veterans more and would increase funding, which is desperately needed. He slammed Wall Street, he mentioned a living wage and equal pay and tuition-free college, and he slammed the establishment and basically alluded to corruption here. And just like he said in the debate, too, when he said, I'm not going to look at it like once I'm in office, that's it. You can disband, all the grassroots support that we built up over time here. I'm going to look at that, all the people, and say, all right, now it's time to continue. Now we need to continue to apply pressure on Washington. We need to continue to have a movement from the ground up, because that's really the only way change comes is when you have, persistent, overwhelming public support and pressure on the politicians to change the system. And he said time and time again, it's not going to be like Obama, where it's like, okay, you see the thing that says change behind me, you got me elected, now you can go watch TV and relax. No. It's, all right, great, we're elected now, but work's not done yet. We still have an obstructionist, other party to deal with, which we're going to have to deal with all the time. We still have the so-called blue dog Democrats, who are basically Republicans, who we have to deal with. We still have a political process to work through with checks and balances, so we can't get all we want on day one. So it's going to require a long fight, and we need to be ready for it. And here's a guy who's saying, I will lead that, but I'm going to need the people with me the entire time. You can't just go away. And that's a very, very important message. I mean, it's something that Noam Chomsky spoke about recently, how that's the thing to really take away. We shouldn't just get together every 4 years and, get a candidate we like on our back and put him in office, and then we don't do anything. No, you need to continue to apply pressure, because that's where the real hard-fought victories are. If you had asked the figureheads of the civil rights movement, for example, asked Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he would have told you, it's not about me. You might look at me as the figurehead of it, but it's about everybody else who's out here in the Million Man March. All these people who are saying, no, we're going to fix it and we're going to do this. And when I look at that ad, that's the sense I get from it. I get that it's not about, you know, it's not all about Bernie and me, and aren't I so great as an individual, and don't you love me? It's more about, okay, here's the facts about me, basic. Anyway, now, let's speak about the Iraq War, let's speak about Wall Street, let's talk about the living wage and equal pay and tuition-free college and all this stuff. You know, the establishment is shocked by, you know, the rise of Bernie Sanders. And a lot of that you credit to the internet, but also a lot of that you credit to the fact that he is fucking relentless in only talking about the issues. And he is at such a massive handicap right off the jump. I mean, he's a really old dude. He's a Jewish atheist, which is a little weird, a little kind of contradiction in terms, but I think people know basically what he's saying there. And there's all these things that are said against him. He's not part of really part of the two-party machine. He's not corrupt. He's not bought off. He doesn't have big money backing him. But his message is still resonating. And it's resonating because of young people. It's resonating because of the internet. But most importantly, the sole focus on issues is continuing to make the campaign stay competitive, even though he's up against an absolute behemoth in Hillary Clinton, and never mind the crazy people on the Republican side. So if he keeps hammering away, if he keeps releasing ads like this, if he keeps fighting, he absolutely has a chance.